My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC 283 fight card, and it should be a pretty good pay-per-view. It's the very first one of the entire year. We have 15 fights, and there is some solid matchups, top to bottom. We have a cool main event title fight there. We have, I don't know what you call a 4. 3 is a trilogy. I don't know what's a 4. Quadrilogy in the co-main event. Let's jump in. Let's break down this card. I'm going to give you my picks, my predictions, and my bets. But before I jump in, head on over to WeWantPicks.com and become a premium member. It is only $10 a month, and that $10 unlocks everything. All of our bets, all of our picks, all of our raw notes, a DraftKings optimizer, fantasy plays, ownership projections. We have a new DFS scorecard and so much more, including the safety parlay. This is a members-only parlay. These are the results from last night's UFC Vegas 67. The last 7 events, you would be up 13.39 units if you put 1 unit on each leg. I normally do a 4-leg safety parlay. I have a 4-leg safety parlay up there right now for UFC 283. I only did 3 for Vegas 67 because there was only 3 that I truly trusted. The key word is safety. That's the key word here. And hopefully it continues to cash. We cashed last night. All 3 legs hit and hoping for all 4. So again, unlock that now at WeWantPicks.com. Just click become a member at the top. And if you want $50, all you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. We have affiliate betting partners. You click on the link, you make a deposit, we send you $50 as a thank you. They pay us, and then we pay you. We're sharing in the wealth. We're growing. We're doing this all together. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Hop in there. Find the book that makes the most sense for you. You're going to get deposit matches if you want them. Different books offer different pros and cons and customer service and different prop bets. Find the one that makes sense for you. Click the link, make a deposit. I will send you $50 as a thank you. Let's jump in. I've already broken down all of these fights, and I did it before the odds drop. Now we have the odds. We have a couple of switcheroos, 2 new fights. Gregory Rodrigues has a new opponent. We got a couple of new fights. Thiago Moises has a new opponent as well. But let's go ahead. We will jump in, opening up this card, at least for now. The order may change. Is Daniel Marcos taking on Saimon Oliveira. Daniel Marcos is a solid striker. He's got power. He's got accuracy. He's got a nice jab. He does a really good job stringing together combinations and just coming forward. He's going to throw 1-2s. He's going to follow them up with flying knees and elbows. His takedown defense is just okay, but what he does that I don't like is he's going to start striking while defending takedowns. Instead of working underhooks and trying to get his hips out, he's doing pitter-patter strikes that'll mean nothing and ultimately you can end up getting taken down by doing that. He is coming off a Contender Series win over Brandon Lewis, where despite being taken down twice, he doubled the strikes and had a knockdown. And he's taking on Saimon Oliveira. He's a slick BJJ guy. Somebody in the comments section literally wrote, because people are morons, stop lying, he's a Muay Thai fighter. Bro, this dude is like a very accomplished BJJ guy. He is BJJ first. He can strike, of course, but he is a BJJ first guy. And he's incredibly slick. He's flexible. He's literally dangerous from anywhere on the mat. You can compare his ground game to Charles Oliveira, right? They're long, they're lanky, and they always have something in their hands. They're always working off of your hips. His striking does lack a little bit. This idiot in the comment section thinks he's an incredible Muay Thai striker. I think his striking lacks. I do not see that same level. He throws 1 punch at a time, and he tends to overreact to anything coming his way. I feel like if you watch his fights, anytime something's coming away, it's like way too, instead of just quick bang, he way overreacts to some of that stuff. And people can have success coming at him with combinations because of those reactions. He's coming off that loss to Tony Gravely, where he gave up 11 takedowns. That's incredible. And I got to go with Marcos here, right? His takedown defense definitely has me a little bit worried against somebody as dangerous as Saimon. But he should have no problem on the feet. Simon's going to overreact with the strikes. Daniel's going to come forward, bomb away, and Saimon may back up. So Daniel's going to throw flying knees, head kicks, and do all that crazy stuff. Obviously, if Daniel is taken down, he could be in some trouble. But I think the skill gap on their feet, meaning Daniel's much better than Saimon, is going to be wider than the skill gap on the ground. Obviously, on the ground, Daniel could be in some trouble, but I don't necessarily worry about it getting there. So Daniel's going to be the pick. I don't have a bet here yet because, I don't love this matchup, but we'll take a look. We'll see when the props drop. They typically drop on Tuesdays, and then we'll jump in there. Then we have Cody Stamann. This is one of the craziest lines that I've seen on the card. We have Cody Stamann taking on Luan Lacerda. Literally, I broke these fights down before the odds dropped. And my note to myself was, look at Stamann for an underdog spot. I thought he would open up as an underdog, or like if he was a favorite, he'd be minus 120. This dude's sitting at minus 350 right now. Let me know in the comments if I'm way off. This is not like, that Umar Nurmagomedov situation. My issue wasn't that he was the favorite. I think he should absolutely have been the favorite. I picked him to win the fight. I was just shocked at the minus 1,000. This feels more like the Sijara Eubanks Priscilla Teixeira situation, where it's like, why the hell is Sijara Eubanks a 3-1 favorite? Why the hell is Cody Stamann sitting at minus 350 right now? Let me know in the comments if I'm missing something, what that's about. And I'm not even giving the pick away. I'm just saying those odds blew my mind. I thought it would be super close or Cody would be the underdog. Anyway, he's taking on Luan Lacerda. Luiz Lacerda, depending where you go. He's a slick grappler and he can strike as well. He comes forward. He's got reckless abandon, just throwing punches and kicks. No real rhyme or reason, but he has a ton of power. From there, he'll try to work in trips or single leg takedowns. And then on the ground, he's a savage. He's very creative. He's always looking for a submission. He's a threat everywhere, but definitely reckless, and he can lose positions because of that. Cody Stamann's a very well-rounded fighter. He's wrestled at all levels, including college, and he started boxing at 16 years old. He's a technical striker who sets a nice pace, but he doesn't really have that raw one-punch knockout power. He does average almost 3 takedowns per fight, but he can be in some very real trouble if you push the wrestling pace on him. He is coming off that knockout win over Eddie Wineland in June. Again, just because he knocked out Eddie Wineland doesn't mean he has this incredible one-punch knockout power. And I think these odds are, again, shocking to me. I do not see him being a minus 350 favorite. I get it. He's fighting Luan Lacerda. I thought the UFC put this together to showcase Luan Lacerda. I thought this was going to be, hey, let's get this exciting Brazilian a fight that he can win in Brazil. I thought that's what this setup was. The odds are saying otherwise. But anyway, he's dangerous. He's very dangerous on his feet. He is dangerous on the ground, but he can be reckless, and that can end up getting him taken down and controlled. I think on their feet, they're probably about even because Cody's going to be the more technical striker. Luan Lacerda is going to be the more creative, more dangerous striker. Cody definitely is going to have the better wrestling, but Lacerda is going to have the better BJJ. I'm still going to pick Lacerda here because even if Cody gets takedowns, he might not necessarily be out of trouble. So I'm not going to let the odds influence my pick. That's how you end up in trouble, right? If you just look at the odds first and then break down fights. But frankly, the odds do worry me a little bit in that I don't know what I'm missing. So honestly, let me lean on you here. I've done my research. I've watched all the tape. Let me know what I'm missing that makes Cody Stamann more than a 3-1 favorite in this fight. Lacerda is going to be the pick. I'm going to hold off on a bet. We'll look at the props again, and we'll go from there because even at that wild plus money, I totally get that Cody can win this fight. He's got the wrestling. I get all of that, but minus 350, that's wild to me. Then we got Warlley Alves taking on Nicolas Dalby. And listen, the last fight that I just broke down, Jacob's on the other side. This fight, I think Jacob's on the other side of my pick as well. So if you're a premium member, Jacob's picks are already up there. So log in, click on quick picks. You'll see all my picks, all of Jacob's picks, and all the round lines. Anybody who doesn't know, part of premium is we give you all the round lines. We'll say over 1.5, under 1.5 for every single fight. We have those round lines and we pick our side on that. All of that is already up there for UFC 283. You want to hear my annoying ass voice? You can shut this video off and go there now and check that out. But if you want to see Jacob's picks after this video, his are already up there. WeOwnPicks.com at the top. Click become a member if you're not already one. We got Warlley Alves taking on Nicolas Dalby. And Warlley Alves is a BJJ black belt. He throws wild, but that's really just there to set up his takedowns and his jiu-jitsu. His takedowns aren't the best, but his BJJ is aggressive. He's jumped guillotine more than once, and I hate that, but he has had some success doing it. Even though he isn't technical on his feet, he's dangerous, and he's always hunting for a knockout. He absolutely bombs away looking for these finishes. And he's taking on Nicolas Dalby, and he's got that karate-style striking. He stays mobile. He switches stances. He's got a good amount of power, but he can be hittable himself, and he does have an even striking differential. He averages more than 1 takedown per fight, but he has a very low 31% takedown accuracy. His striking is okay. His grappling is okay. And all in all, he's a well-rounded guy who's going to work hard, but he's not necessarily dangerous. I'm going to go Dalby here. He's the less dangerous of the two fighters, but he's also the more durable and more consistent guy. I can trust him to come forward, work for a full 15 minutes, while Warlley going to come out, swing wild, maybe jump guillotine, and just throw this fight away, even though he's the dangerous guy. So Dalby's not the type of guy that's going to get caught with a big overhand or a Hail Mary submission. So Dalby's going to be the pick. I like him to be controlled, patient, and you could get him right now at a reasonable minus 120. So I may hop on that. I'm not sure yet. I have a lot of money on this card already, so I don't necessarily want to just keep throwing more at it. But I like Dalby to win. I like him to just slow and steady, tortoise in the hair, slow and steady win this fight. Then we got Thiago Moises. This fight is a switcheroo. And the stars have aligned for Thiago Moises. He went to bed, he said his prayers, and he no longer has to fight a killer. He's taken on UFC newcomer. I'm just going to say Melk, because that's what they call him. His first name is not something that I'm going to be able to say. He's fighting on Costa in a short notice UFC debut. Thiago Moises went from definitely going to be murdered to, oh shit, he can win this fight. So Thiago Moises, he's a slick grappler. He does a really good job of staying dangerous while staying composed, meaning he'll control the positions while still looking for a submission. He's not going to chase. He's not going to give something up, trying to find something that isn't there. He's controlled, yet dangerous. And even though he is primarily a grappler, he averages more than one takedown per fight, he has technical striking, and he can hang with most people. He uses solid low kicks to set up his takedowns, and he's coming off the first round submission win over Christos Gallegos. Costa is a well-rounded guy. He's got creative striking, solid grappling. His takedowns are a bit forced, but he's strong enough and persistent enough that if he gets you to the cage, he's going to work until you're down, or at least he'll rack up some control time trying. What's interesting is if you see him work for the takedowns often, but he doesn't need them. He's almost wasting his time half the time because he's a powerful striker with good hands, solid technique. He strings together combinations well, and he'll even mix in some spinning attacks. I'm going to go Thiago Moises here. And first of all, he's only 27. He is a legit tried and true vet at this point. He's got solid striking, a fantastic ground game. He continues to improve, and he's still young. I just think he's like 34, but he's still young. I think this is going to look a little bit like his last fight, like that Christos Gallegos fight. He's going to waste zero time striking, immediately work to get it to the ground, and then he should have a big advantage there. We do not have odds yet for this fight, but I'm going to be watching closely. This might get me, I might go moneyline bet here. We'll see what the odds are when they drop. I'm going to keep an eye on it. If you're a premium member, just make sure you have your Discord connected. Just click on account after you log in. There's a big ass button that says link Discord. Click that. It'll link your Discord account so that when we do place bets, the props drop, this odds drop for this fight. When we do place bets, you'll get an alert on your phone, and then, you can tail it or not, whatever you want to do. But make sure you link your Discord. We have well over 1,000 premium members, and it's like 300 linked Discords. Link the Discord. It costs nothing. And Discord is free too. So anyway, Thiago Moises is the pick, and I'm going to be watching those odds closely. Then we have, this fight's been rebooked. This was scheduled a while ago, didn't happen, and now we have it. Shamil Abdurakhimov taking on Jailton Almeida. Jailton Almeida, absolute killer. This dude's a real deal, great prospect. He's got powerful hands, incredible grappling. All of his wins are by stoppage, and that's just from nonstop pressure. He comes in hot. He relentlessly works for takedowns. And once he's on the ground, he's going to chase his submission, hit you in transitions. I've been a little critical in the past of, and I shouldn't be, the guy's a fucking beast, of the fact that he'll chase on the ground and sometimes will give up a position to look for something else. But the reality is he's just doing whatever he wants to people right now. He is a light heavyweight. This is a light heavyweight who fights at heavyweight. He's a big guy. He's jacked. But eventually he may have an issue with some of the size. Shamil Abdurakhimov, he's a solid boxer, good counter strikes, solid wrestling, somewhat of an accomplished wrestler, and he's had mixed success in the UFC. He took down Derek Lewis 4 times in a loss, Andrei Arlovski twice in a win. His chin hasn't held up as much as, you'd like at 41, but he still hits hard, and he is a gamer. Curtis Blades was the last person to take him down, but he did do it 5 times. And that screwed up his overall takedown defense. So you're going to see Shamil's overall takedown defense at 47%. it's better than that. He's defended good takedowns from good people. Curtis Blades just threw that number way out of whack in that fight. Jailton Almeida is a massive favorite again. I understand it. I do have to keep reminding myself that he's a light heavyweight. Eventually, he's going to have some issues with size. Shamil's not going to be that guy. So Jailton Almeida is going to win this fight. He should be able to get the takedown, do whatever the hell he wants on the ground, beat him up, go from there. Jailton's going to be the pick for sure. I'm not going to do a money line bet. The odds are a little too wild for a money line bet. If you want to parlay them, just be careful, right? You don't parlay a minus 900. That's just not worth it. If you got there a little earlier, minus 6, you can parlay 6, even 7. Minus 9, probably not worth the parlay. But anyway, Jailton Almeida is absolutely going to be the pick. We have a 1.5 round line. Let's look for inside the distance, some stuff like that. Then we have Terrance McKinney in a very interesting matchup that has had some very interesting line movement. And he's taking on Ismael Bonfim. Terrance McKinney's long, he's powerful, he likes to fight at range. He's got a great striking differential of almost 5-2 and the wrestling credentials to dictate where a fight goes. He's a threat on his feet, he's a threat grappling, and he's coming off that win over Raik Gonzalez where he looked good, but he was cracked. He was hit. He gets hit. We watched Drew Dober put him out. Raik Gonzalez cracked him. But luckily, he's got that wrestling to get him out of trouble. Ismael Bonfim is a wild striker. He's got real power, no regard for straight punches at all. He literally just charges forward, throws every single punch as if he's throwing a baseball. He's going to mix in flying knees and the occasional takedown. When he takes his time, he can be accurate, powerful, and have some solid defense. Him and his brother are both fighting on this card. They're both on this card. They're both very high level and accomplished boxers, but Ismael, this one, seems to abandon the technique inside the cage. When he charges forward, he's open to being cracked. He doesn't use his takedowns often, but on the ground, he does have some solid BJJ. Terrance needs to be very careful in this fight. He gets hit. I mentioned Raik cracked him. Drew Dober, we know what happened there. He needs to be careful in this fight because Bonfim's going to come in hot. And if Terrance is going to play that game, he's going to be in trouble. He needs to wrestle immediately. He needs to shoot immediately. And I think Terrance is probably going to be a little bit better everywhere, except his chin's not going to be as good, and he's not going to have that same power. I think he's going to be the better striker if he stays composed, the better grappler, the better wrestler, but he needs to be careful. I have a half a unit money line him. I got it at minus 135. You get better odds than that right now. I did that as soon as it dropped. I thought he'd be the popular pick. It's only a half a unit because I'm not very confident in Terrance. But I do think he wins. And I was like, you know what? This line's going to take off. I was dead wrong. The line did not take off. It tightened. So if you want to throw a half or a quarter of a unit on Terrance McKinney, I think you can get him at minus 100 right now, minus 105, stuff like that. Shit, man, we may get him at plus money by the end of the week. So Terrance is going to be the pick. He needs to be very, very careful in this fight. Hopefully the Drew Dober fight and getting hit by Raik has brought him down to reality. But, you watch the events, you see him hanging out. He's a little too cool for school. He's a popular kid in the block now. Hopefully he's putting the time in. He's not at a big gym. He's in Georgia. Hopefully Terrance McKinney, as talented as he is, shows up ready to go and lives up to the hype because I want him to be as good as I know he can be. Then we have Maurício Shogun Rua's swan song. He's taking on Ihor Potieria. Listen, wait for the pick. All right, just wait for the pick. Jacob, pick the opposite side of me. And if you're a premium member, you can see all of his picks, all of his bets, all that stuff right now. But yeah, we got Maurício Shogun Rua. He's taking on Ihor Potieria. Shogun, he's an OG. If you guys are newer to the UFC, you started watching during COVID, which, it's a giant swath of people came here during COVID. You don't necessarily know how good Shogun is. He is a Pride legend. Just go watch any highlight video of his. It's going to be one of the most spectacular things you've ever seen. This dude understands violence. This is his last MMA fight ever. It is his swan song. It is in Brazil. But this dude is a killer. He is a killer. I'm going to say was. He was a killer. He's 41 now. He was a killer. When he was younger, he was one of the most explosive and devastating guys you would ever see. He's older, so he's a little slower, but he's still violent. He still hits hard. He's got solid takedowns, a BJJ black belt. It's really there for defense. He's not really offensively looking to triangle choke anybody or, anything like that. And triangle is more of a defensive. Anyway. He's going to come. He's going to show up. He's going to throw bombs. He's going to try to win this fight. He is 41 years old, but this dude is a legend. If you don't know who he is, please go watch his highlight tapes. Ihor Potieria is a decent striker. He's got a loose striking style. He's got solid power, good accuracy, but he can be hittable because his hands are low and he does rely on his chin. He's coming off back-to-back fights where he was completely outstruck. And that seems to be the story of his career so far, right? He stands in front of you. If his chin holds up, he's probably going to knock you out. If it doesn't hold up, he will be knocked out. This should actually be a pretty competitive fight because, yeah, Ihor's going to have the power, but his record is pretty hollow. And tough guys who can mix in grappling can find success against Ihor. We just saw Nick Negumereanu with the striking and the grappling exchanges before the stoppage. Shogun is old, he's slow, but he can still get takedowns and he can still hit hard. I'm going to pick Shogun here. It's going to be a biased pick. It's this guy's swan song. He's on his way out. This dude has brought me more entertainment than almost any other fighter on the active UFC roster right now. Back in the day, still living at home. I'm 39. This dude's been fighting for 20 years. 20 years. So 19 years old watching this dude fight. More like, 20. Watching this dude fight and the guy's a legend. Watch his highlights. I can't possibly pick against him. The odds are kind of crazy, though. I genuinely, bias aside, and this is fan bias. I don't know him personally. Bias aside, this should be a close fight. Shogun can absolutely throw heavy punches, work in a takedown. Throw heavy punches, work in a takedown. So I'm not betting on this fight. A lot of you are going to parlay Ihor. I don't recommend that because Shogun's not, he's 41, he's slow, all those things, but he's not a can. Not yet, at least. So, anyway, Shogun's going to be the pick. It's a biased pick. Don't tail it. Don't bet on this fight. Just enjoy it. Then we got Gregory Rodrigues. He also has a new opponent. Frankly, this is a much tougher fight. He was going to fight Brad Tavares. I thought he was going to blow through Brad Tavares. I had a 2-unit moneyline bet on him at minus 200, I think. Brad Tavares dropped. Now we have Bruno Ferreira. And you guys are going to say, oh, short notice, done, perfect. Short notice UFC debut, bang. Let's hammer. I actually saw that in our Discord. We have a free Discord. Hop in that if you want. All sorts of free, whatever, it's not, it's not a premium Discord. There's alerts that come from it, which are premium, but the Discord itself is 100% free and available. So links everywhere. Jump into that. I saw people in the Discord, we're about to hit this Gregory Rodrigues line. Don't. Let me break down this fight. Gregory Rodrigues. The guy's incredible. He's a very well-rounded guy, good clean striking, solid power, BJJ black belt. Even though he has that black belt and he's more than capable on the ground, he really has good takedown defense and he keeps fights standing. He fights on his feet. He slugs it out. He's a big guy with power, strength, and the reality is that he is a threat everywhere. He can submit you if you're on the ground. He can knock you out if you're on your feet. He can take you out. His takedown defense is incredible. He's good absolutely everywhere. He's coming off that win over Chidi Njokuani where his head was split wide open, one of the worst cuts you've ever seen in MMA. It was right here. Literally the bone was horrific cut. Bruno Ferreira is a very powerful striker. He's light on his feet. He's constantly mixing up his attacks. He bounces on his toes, which really helps him come in and out of the pocket well. He's a short guy for the division, so his range management is key. He has incredible spinning techniques and all finishes on his record. And his record is solid. It's not hollow, right? You see some of these UFC debuts with these hollow. His record is not hollow. If you go through his record from the bottom to the top, there's a clear progression of the level of opponent. Right? His last fight wasn't against somebody who's 1-20. It's a clear progression. His opponents increasingly got tougher and tougher, and he has passed every single one of those tests along the way. Even though he's a fast, powerful striker with all finishes, he isn't reckless. And he actually could be low volume at times. He's waiting for his spots. He's looking for his openings, and he takes them down. He can grapple as well. He's got powerful takedowns, slick BJJ, but he's definitely a striker, and he only uses his grappling if he's in trouble or if his opponent initiates it. And this is an interesting fight. It is definitely a more dangerous fight for Gregory than Brad Tavares was. Bruno is legit good. He's dangerous both standing and on the ground, but Gregory is a beast. He's an incredible grappler with solid takedowns when he uses them, incredible takedown defense, and very impressive stand-up. But his face was just massacred 4 months ago, down to the bone. And I can't believe he's even cleared to fight yet. Jacob has that big scar on his face. He's allergic to the sun. So they had to go in there and cut out some of his nerd sun allergies. But I was talking to him about this, and his doctor told him the internal stitches will take a full 3 months to completely dissolve. We're 4 months removed from Gregory's face exposing itself to the world. And I just don't know. I mean, I assume it's on that same timeline, right? 3 months. I'm not a doctor. I'm just going off what that ginger sun allergy told me. And I can't imagine 4 months ago how long till he could actually start training. Let's say 2 months before he could start. You can't sweat. You can't push, pull. Like, that's in a tough spot. You can't put on the headgear. You almost can't do anything for a while. So I don't know what his training camp looked like. I don't know what kind of rounds he's been able to put in. I don't know what he's been able to do, if that is fully healed, if it's going to hold up. We don't know any of those things. What I do know is Bruno Ferreira is a dangerous guy. He is legitimate good. I have 0.2 units on him. So at plus 270. Listen, what Jacob and I have done in 2023 is we've made a unit $100. So I'm not going to tell you if we increased it or lowered it. Like, we've made it $100, and we did that because so many people, what's a unit? So we're just going to make it $100 for the show itself. That's also easy for us to share tickets without having to black shit out. So it's $100, meaning I put $20 on Bruno Ferreira at plus 270. So my $20 can win me 54 plus my 20 back. So anyway, I think Bruno Ferreira wins this fight. Gregory Rodrigues is incredible. I do not think he should be fighting yet. And I think this is a much, much harder fight for him than Brad Tavares was. Then we have Jose Nunes. The breakdown of this fight, the Twitter nerds went wild. I call them the basement buddies. It's a little pack of Twitter dorks that live in a basement that watch my videos, screen grab my videos, and then tweet my videos. Literally the perfect fan. Like, the perfect fan. All of you watching this will end up with about, 6,000, 7,000 views on this video. I appreciate every single one of you. Some of you will like, some of you will share, some of you will comment, some of you will screen record. All of that is incredible. So thank you so much to the basement buddies. But anyway, the controversy here was, I essentially said, and I break these fights down before the odds. I was like, this is going to be a close fight. You're going to see plus money on one of them. And you're just going to be like, well, it's a close fight and this one's plus money. Let me take it. Don't do that. Don't be an idiot. Keep your money. This is not one of the fights where you just chase plus money. We have Jose Nunes taking on Zara Fern. Jose Nunes is a striker. She's got crazy power. She throws very, very hard. She's not a very good grappler, but her striking is solid and busy. She likes to come forward with leg kicks and then bomb away with big overhand lefts. She is compact, but does not have issues with range, even when she's the much shorter fighter than most of her opponents. She's coming off that win over Ramona Pascal, where she was taken down very easily, but she had good cardio and was able to pull that off. Zara Fan is a technical striker with horrible takedown defense and no ground game. She's 0-2 in the UFC, but her debut was against Megan Anderson. And her second fight was against Felicia Spencer. She's certainly better than her UFC record is, but this is going to be the first time that we're finally going to get to see her strike. This is the first time where she'll be in a fight with somebody that's not desperately trying to take her down. She's got a nice jab, decent kicks, but she doesn't have any real power. And this fight was supposed to happen a year ago, but Fern missed weight by 8 full pounds. And that was at a catch weight. So she is big, she is long, but she's not powerful. And that's what makes this fight tricky, because I think Fern's going to be the more technical striker. I think she's going to have the better range, but Nunes is going to be far more dangerous. So the lean is going to be Nunes. Nunes is going to be the pick. Judges seem to be liking the power, liking the aggression, liking the damage, instead of just the pot shots, technical striking. Don't bet this fight. Just keep your money. There's plenty of other spots here. And I was wrong. I thought this was going to open at almost even, because I thought Nunes looked like shit in her last fight. Ramona Pascal took a round off her on short notice, and Ramona's gone. She's been cut. She can't win a fight. And Jose Nunes is a big, big favorite in this fight, which I'm surprised, because Zara Fan is a very good striker who has not had the opportunity to strike. Keep your money. Do not bet on this fight. Some people are lazy, and I get it. Some people are lazy, and you'll see, minus 300 with no research. Let me just take that person, another minus 300, put them together. Ooh, fun little parlay. Don't do that. Leave this fight alone. Jose Nunes has not proven to us that she deserves our money. She just hasn't. Then we have Munir Lazzez And he's taking on Gabriel Bonfim. This is the other Bonfim brother. And like his brother, he's a solid striker, high-level boxing credentials, and he's got solid BJJ. He's a well-rounded guy who's more patient than his brother and more aggressive with his takedowns. When he gets it to the ground, he is methodical with his control, and he works to positions first, then submissions. He's coming off the Contender Series win over a short-notice Trey Waters, where he got a takedown and a submission in the first round. Mounir Lazzez is a very good striker with a good enough chin that lets him hang out in the pocket. He has lots of power, solid cardio, and he works well with combinations, but he isn't just a solid striker. He's also a fantastic, I don't want to say wrestler, but he has very good takedowns and solid enough fight IQ to know when to use them. He took Abdul Razak Al Hassan down 4 times in his UFC debut to earn himself that win and a performance of the night bonus. He's coming off the dominant striking win over Ange Lusa, where he was just a step ahead the entire time. There's another close fight on this card because Munir's a solid striker and has some wrestling in his back pocket, where Gabriel is going to be way more active on the ground. Mounir is very active on the feet with almost 8 significant strikes landed per minute. I think I like Mounir here, right? His volume is incredible. His investments in the body shots are great as well. Gabriel can come out here. He can grapple heavy, absolutely take the win. But I think Mounir's 71% takedown defense is going to hold up. And I think he's going to take a close decision win. So Mounir's going to be the pick. No bet here because I think this is super close. And we're about to find out how good these Bonfim brothers actually are. So I'm going to keep my mother. Is that a Freudian slip? Do I miss my mom? I'm going to keep my money and see what the props do here. But I like Mounir Lazzez. This might be an inside the distance decision, no action on the Bonfim side. He's the more dangerous guy, but we'll see what happens here. Just watch and enjoy. You don't need to bet every single fight. Take your time. It's the first pay-per-view of the year. Let's relax. Let's enjoy this 15 fights on this card. Then we have one of the more interesting ones. We got Gilbert Burns taking on Neil Magny in what is a somewhat disrespectful line. Gilbert Burns a minus 400 favorite here. And I get it. He's a grappler. He's got incredible striking lately, right? He's developed his striking. Not incredible is a very heavy word. He has very good striking that he's been developing over time, and he's pretty good everywhere. His power is impressive, especially considering he's basically a 155-pounder that's come up to 170. He's undersized for the division, but he's fast, he's powerful, and he's tough enough to hang with the elite. He dropped Usman in that fight, and he almost had him out. Then he was absolutely, he dominated Wonderboy with just relentless grappling. And most recently, he lost a close fight to Chimaev, where a lot of people think he won. He landed more total and more significant strikes in that fight. But I think Chimaev was just kind of playing with him, honestly. But anyway, Neil Magny is incredibly well-rounded. He's very tough, very experienced. He's skilled everywhere, but he's mostly a busy come-forward striker, but he also has a very solid grappling game and averages more than 2 takedowns per fight. He's coming off that submission over Daniel Rodriguez where he was losing those striking exchanges, but he had 5 takedowns, and ultimately, it's the cardio that got him. That just relentless cardio is what got that done. And Gilbert, as I mentioned, he's the minus 400 favorite here. I understand it. I get it. But I think, people thinking that Gilbert is just going to blow through Neil Magny aren't giving Neil Magny the credit he deserves. He can strike, he can grapple, he's got incredible cardio, incredible pace. Gilbert's likely going to have the power advantage and just the raw jiu-jitsu advantage, and Gilbert's going to be the pick, but I want to see him wrestle. I want this to look like the Wonderboy fight. I don't want him to be in like a technical kickboxing match because Neil is so long, he just may be able to touch him up and hang out on the outside. So I just want to see a million takedowns, hang out on top, get that pressure. But Gilbert Burns is going to be the pick. I think I'm a little more realistic than some other people with this fight. Gilbert should win, but minus 400, I'm not saying that minus 400 just seems a little disrespectful to Neil Magny and his body of work and the people he's beaten and competed against. We have another interesting fight with an interesting line. We have Lauren Murphy taking on Jessica Andrade, and Jessica Andrade is a tremendous favorite in this fight. And I get it. She's the former world champion. She's a contender at multiple weight classes. She has beaten some of the best women on planet Earth and has only lost to some of the best women on the planet, like Valentina Shevchenko, Joanna, and Warlley. Technique-wise, Jessica's a good striker with a ton of power. Her power isn't just in her hands. She can push you around. She can pick you up. She can physically impose her will, despite almost always being the smaller fighter. Her BJJ is not the best, and her takedowns aren't technical, but she will pick you up and just dump you and then just start pounding away. When Jessica can be the bully, she can beat anybody, but when she can't bully you and she needs to rely on clean technique, that's when she can have some trouble. She's coming off the standing submission win over Amanda Lemos earlier this year, which just sprung her right back to title contention. Lauren Murphy's a grinder. She's gritty. She's tough. She has incredible will and determination, and she's going to stick to a game plan. Just wrestling and muscle clinch work is her skill set, but her strongest asset is absolutely her will. She is just determined and will not break. Her striking's a bit sloppy, but it is there, and it is in your face. She's coming off the destruction of Miesha Tate, where honestly, I don't think she looked that good. She destroyed Miesha Tate, but it was a typical Lauren Murphy fight, just gritty and sloppy. It's an interesting fight because Andrade doesn't fight bullies very often, and she can have trouble with bullies. And she could potentially have trouble with Lauren Murphy. If Lauren Murphy's the one coming forward, using her size, using her strength, Lauren Murphy can have some success against Jessica because Jessica's the one that needs to push you around. So, it's another spot where I think this fight's going to be a lot closer than the odds. I definitely think Jessica's going to win because realistically, she's going to hit harder. She should be the better striker. She's not going to be the better wrestler, but she'll be the more powerful grappler. She'll have the better jiu-jitsu. But again, if you look at Jessica's losses, it's against people she couldn't just push around. And Lauren is big and strong and may not be somebody you can push around. Jessica Andrade is not 6'3". She is 5'3". That's a typo, and I'm ashamed of myself. And I need to do better. I need to be better. I need to do better, and I need to reflect. That should be a 5 instead of a 3. Jessica Andrade is going to be the pick, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. We'll see how I feel when it gets closer. Honestly, weigh-ins may change a lot for me. When they're next to each other, Lauren Murphy might be massive. And typically, I don't care about size, especially at high-level fights. But Jessica's whole style is bully. Be the bully. Be the bully. And she may not be able to be the bully here. So we'll see what happens, but Jessica Andrade is going to be the pick. No bet here for me just yet, and these odds are definitely wider than I think they should be. Then we have an interesting fight. We got Paul Craig taking on Johnny Walker. You guys know I've been very critical of Paul Craig in the past, and I do have some bets on this fight. We got Paul Craig, who's an incredible grappler. He's very dangerous on the ground, and he's very, very tough. He's built his entire career on getting his face smashed in and then pulling off an upset submission win. He did it against Magomed Ankalaev with literally 1 second left in the entire fight, and he did it in his last win against Nikita Krylov. Essentially, if he has any room to grapple with you, you should be worried about it. His striking is just okay, but he's not much of a threat, so it's not that big of a deal. He can be outstruck by most people in the division, but he is a jiu-jitsu nerd, and he can submit you. But if he can't submit you, he's in trouble. He essentially can be submission or bust. Johnny Walker's a very big light heavyweight at 6'6". But not only is he massive, he's fast, he's powerful, he's athletic, he's wild, he's fun to watch. He gets creative with his striking. He'll spin, he'll jump, he'll even smile the whole time. And he's very unorthodox and very dangerous because of all these crazy techniques. But he does have legit power behind them. He has been very inconsistent lately, which makes him hard to predict. A Johnny Walker who shows up prepared, who's willing to strike, is a very dangerous guy. But the guy who showed up against Thiago Santos last year is anything but that. He's coming off that great win over Jan Cutelaba. He had a takedown, a reversal, and then a submission. I am hoping Johnny Walker has shaken off whatever nonsense got into his head and training over there in Ireland, and he's back to what he was with just some improved technique. So this is not a tricky breakdown. Paul Craig is submission or bust. Submission or bust. People love this guy. They love him because of his incredible come from behind victories, and I get it. They're very exciting. But come on. Come on. Submission or bust. I do not see him getting Johnny Walker to the ground and then throwing up a Hail Mary submission. I just don't see it. So Johnny Walker's the pick. I have a 2-unit bet on Johnny Walker at -170. I'm very, very confident in Johnny here. I may also throw a inside the distance decision no action bet on Paul Craig, especially he's a good size underdog. And all that means is if Paul Craig pulls off that Hail Mary submission, I'll get paid. If he loses a decision, I'll get a full refund. We've done those on the past in Paul Craig, and we've cashed and we've gotten refunds. So I'm probably going to end up betting both sides of this fight, but I expect Johnny Walker to win a decision, and then I expect a full refund on the inside the distance decision, no action on Paul Craig, because he is tough. He's a jiu-jitsu nerd. He's submission or bust, but he's tough. He's not a guy that you can just go in there and put away with some crazy striking. And that takes us to the co-main event. We have the first quadrilogy. I think that's the word. The first quadrilogy in UFC history. We have Figueiredo taking on Brandon Moreno to unify the belt. We have interim champ versus full-blown champ. They fought each other 3 times, so let's talk about the first 3. The very first fight was a draw. Deiveson Figueiredo should have won that fight. A lot of people think he won it, but there was a point deduction, which made it a draw, and some people think he won even with the point deduction. That's why that was a draw. The second fight, Brandon Moreno submitted Figueiredo. Figueiredo looked like a shell of himself. Moreno came out there, looked amazing, got that done. And then the third fight was a close fight on the scorecards, but it was clear that Figgy won that fight. I think the scorecards were closer than the fight actually was. He had 2 takedowns, 3 knockdowns, and he won at 48-47 across the board. By this point, you know both of these guys, right? Deiveson Figueiredo is a well-rounded guy. He's dangerous everywhere. He's good at baiting you into a firefight, and then he's going to control the range. His BJJ is great. He's incredible off his back, and not to mention the power in his hands. The issue, however, is he is big, and sometimes that affects his cardio. Brandon Moreno is an absolute dog. He's tough. He's got a great chin. He puts on a nonstop pace. He averages almost 2 takedowns per fight and mixes things up well. His biggest asset is definitely his pace and his will to win. He's going to continue to come forward and stay busy no matter what is happening. That last fight, he was knocked down 3 times by Figgy and just kept coming forward. But he is coming off. He had a nice bounce back win. He's coming off that TKO over Kai Kara France, where he started slow, but then he was able to put it all together. I love Figgy here. I absolutely think he's the better fighter. Without the point deduction, he's won 2 out of 3 of these fights. Without the point deduction, there might not have even been a rematch. Not to mention that Brandon Moreno is at, what the hell is this Dallas gym? I mentioned it 6 times. Anyway, he's at Fortis MMA because of all that James Krause stuff. That's a lot of stuff to happen to you leading up to a title fight. So I think the instability in Brandon Moreno, the fact that, not that he's not stable, but his training camp, and the fact that Deiveson Figueiredo is the better fighter who should have won 2 out of 3 of these already, I got to go Figgy here. I love him. I have 3 units at -110, and I'm probably overly exposed there. I'm sure I am. Don't just tail 3 full units there. But maybe I'm too high on this, but if you watch all 3 of those fights, you watch them on mute, and you just watch those fights, it is clear that Deiveson Figueiredo is the better fighter. And therefore, he knocked down, Brandon Moreno submitted Figgy in the one fight. Looked incredible. But Figueiredo's the one getting the takedowns, knocking him down, just winning almost everywhere. So I'm surprised that it's even money. They're both -110. Figgy's absolutely the pick. I have 3 units. Don't tail the full 3. I'm definitely overly exposed to one single fight, but I'm looking forward to watching it again. The first 3 were fun. This one will be too. Then we have the main event of the evening. We have Glover Teixeira taking on Jamal Hill. Again, as I always do with Glover, full disclosure, I know him personally. I've known Glover for a very, very long time. I'm from Connecticut. He's obviously from Brazil, but he spent the last, 20-something years in Connecticut before going to Brazil. So he was in Connecticut. I think his visa expired. He got sent back to Brazil for 10 years or something. Then he was able to come back fully legal, good to go. So I've known him for a very long time. Early 20s, I was doing jiu-jitsu, coaching wrestling, and then Glover's jiu-jitsu coach said, hey, if you let us teach jiu-jitsu in this wrestling gym, you can train for free. I said, great. So we worked it all out, and then I started training. So I've known Glover for a very long time. Couldn't be a better human being. And frankly, shouldn't even be in this fight. Glover beat the piss. It's an exaggeration. Glover was beating Jiri Prochazka to keep his belt and lost with like 30 seconds left. And that entire fight comes down to one bad scramble where Glover just, made a little bit of a decision there in a bad scramble. But anyway, he's getting a crack at his old title. Glover's going to take on Jamal Hill to headline UFC Brazil. Glover, honestly, he didn't become popular till these last few years, but he is one of the most decorated light heavyweights in history. If you watch the promos leading up to this, he holds so many records for knockouts, for submissions. He has a Mike Tyson style striking with incredible strength that he uses for his wrestling and his grappling. And that Mike Tyson style, he comes in here, he bobs and weaves, he bombs, bobs and weaves and bombs. Early in his career, he was known as a striker who happened to have a BJJ black belt. Lately, he is a grappler who has a ton of power in his hands. He took down Jan Blachowicz twice before winning that. Thiago Santos 4 times before winning that. And Jiří Procházka 5 times. And he was literally 30 seconds away from keeping that belt. And it was just a bad scramble. And lost that fight with 30 seconds left. Jamal Hill is a long, rangy striker who comes forward and he picks his shots really well. He has an incredible 6-3 striking differential, meaning he has high volume and he doubles his opponent's strikes. He's primarily a boxer, but he does have solid leg kicks. He's got solid power, volume, and accuracy, and that makes him a real threat on his feet. He has a 65% takedown defense, and he's going to need every bit of that in this fight. Obviously, I'm a little biased towards Glover. With that being said, he beat Jan for the belt. He was beating Jiří to retain it. I think this fight looks exactly like those 2 fights minus the bad scramble. I see Glover coming forward with a tight guard, throwing the Mike Tyson strikes inside the pocket, and then getting the takedowns. Thiago Santos took down Jamal Hill 6 times in that last fight. And I get it. Thiago Santos was knocked out. But Glover is not Thiago Santos. Glover has incredible... People are not standing up on Glover. He takes you down, you're down. He's not going to need 6 takedowns with Jamal Hill. I think the skill gap on the ground is going to be way too wide here. So I think Glover, who has a full camp, is going to work in tight, stay in that pocket, get the takedown, and start pounding away on Jamal Hill. I love Glover in this spot. I have a 1-unit moneyline bet on him at plus 130. I placed that basically the second that these dropped. I got him at plus 130. If you're a premium member, you have seen that there for like a month and a half. He is now at plus 100 even money, and he may end up the favorite. So premium members, the difference between plus 100 and plus 130, that alone covers your premium membership. It's freaking $10 a month. That gap right there is $10. Obviously, if Glover wins the fight. So Glover's going to be the pick. I've got that bet on him. I think he's powerful. He has the wrestling. Obviously, he's 43 years old. The chin is a bit worrisome. Jamal Hill is a sniper. So hopefully it's a wrestle-heavy game plan and he doesn't get tagged like Thiago Santos did. Guys, that's the breakdown. Thank you so much. Become a premium member. It's freaking $10 a month. You get all the bets, all the picks, fantasy plays. We focus so much on bets, but if you do DraftKings, FanDuel, Prize Picks, Monkey Knife Fight, Underdog, Fantasy, we have an entire suite of content for you. We rank every single fighter by salary with DraftKings. We give you the ownership projections. We have an optimizer. It's literally a tool that helps you build winning lineups. So WeWantPicks.com at the top, click become a member. And of course, if you want $50 for free, the only thing you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, use the link, make a deposit. We'll send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing. You use my link, they will pay me, and then I will pay you as a thank you. We're all in this together. We're going to share that wealth. WeWantPicks.com/bets.